Hey everyone, this is Jerry with San Pedro Mastery. This video follows up the one from last week, which was titled What Soil Mix for the San Pedro. In that video, I gave you my quick and simple recipe for growing the San Pedro cactus, which basically only involves regular potting soil and perlite. In today's video, I will answer some common questions which you might have on the same subject for San Pedro soil mixes. I've actually written these questions myself. They were not asked by you guys. However, if you have questions about soil mixes, please write them down in the comments below and I will try to answer them. Let's start with the first question. Can I buy ready-made cactus soil instead of making my own? Of course, but that would be considerably more expensive, as commercially made cactus soil typically comes in smaller bags. But it is an option if you just have a few small pots to fill. I live in a region where cacti grow wild naturally, like for instance here in Barcelona. Can I use soil from my garden? Yes, your garden soil will probably be fine to use as is, without the need to add perlite, as it will already have coarse sand and stone in it. In fact, it may also include other minerals which could also be beneficial for cacti. However, this soil may possibly be too compact and not fertile enough, which is why it is worth considering adding some perlite to avoid the soil being compacted around the roots, as well as some commercial potting soil, which is likely to be more fertile. So maybe something like 2 parts soil from your garden, 2 parts commercial potting soil, and 1 part perlite. That's like 40% of each type of soil plus 20% perlite. An alternative recipe, if you have earthworm castings, would be 2 parts soil from your garden, 1 part earthworm castings, 1 part perlite. I will talk more about earthworm castings in a video about fertilizers, probably released next week, so make sure you subscribe and tick the little bell so that you don't miss it. I live in a colder region. Can I use garden soil as is? Yes, if it looks fertile enough and its texture does not look like clay. If your garden soil crumbles and does not clump up, you can use it as a replacement for the commercial potting soil and follow my recipe from last week's video, adding perlite to it. I can't be bothered to buy perlite. Can I just use regular potting soil? Yes, San Pedro can tolerate a lot, but it's not optimal. You will not have good drainage and the soil around the roots will compact too much. If you only use potting soil, be very careful about not to overwater your San Pedro. I have been given Trichocereus cacti planted in pots with just potting soil, and they've been fine for a while, but I definitely add perlite whenever I repot them. Can I replace perlite by coarse sand and small rocks? Yes, you could even replace perlite by just coarse sand without rocks. But it's not as good as perlite in my opinion because sand weighs too much. That means the soil will compact more, and with time it will compact even further, leaving little space around the roots for them to breathe. Also, it will considerably increase the weight of the pot, which means an adult plant, which is already tall and heavy, will be hard to move. Besides, if you are planning to buy sand, remember it has to be coarse sand, not fine sand, and it must come from a river and not from the sea, as sea sand will contain way too much salt. Can I replace perlite by pumice? Yes, you can. Just like perlite, pumice is a volcanic rock, but pumice didn't go through any man-made process. It is not expanded. It is in its natural state. Some people prefer pumice. Personally, I prefer perlite because it is cheaper and easier to find. Should I add vermiculite to the soil mix? No, it retains too much water for cacti. What about coconut coir or coconut fiber is the same thing as an ingredient? Like I said earlier, a lot of commercial potting soils contain coconut fiber, and also a lot of growers seem to like to add coir to their soil mixes. But my personal experience with it has not been good. Coco coir retains a lot of water, which can be an issue if your plants are outside exposed to the rain in the winter. Also, coco coir often contains a lot of salt. This said, if your plants are inside, you can possibly incorporate it to your mixes if you want. Should I top the soil with stones? Yes, you can. I don't. If you like the looks of it, do that. Some people believe it helps the roots stay cool, especially if the stones are white. I have no opinion on this, though I would be surprised if it made your San Pedro grow any faster. If the stones are small, like the size of gravel, they may also help to keep the weeds away. The downside with these stones is that they roll all over the place when you repot, and mix themselves with the soil, which is a problem if you want to reuse the soil. Should I put rocks at the bottom of the pot to improve drainage? It's not necessary. And here again, it's a pain to separate the rocks from the soil when you repot. I mean, if you just have one plant or two, this is fine. But if you have more, it's going to take too much time and patience. Any other ingredients worth using? Everyone's got their favorites, but I will just tell you how I personally do it. I normally just use regular potting soil and perlite, but I do like two other ingredients that I add from time to time. The first one, earthworm castings, is a natural fertilizer. I will talk about that in details in next week's video. Also, whenever I go to Saint-Tropez in France, I bring back some soil from there as it is extremely rich in mica, and possibly some other minerals too, and I add a little bit of it to my soil mixes. Whenever I have some at hand, that is. Currently, I've run out of it. It does make the soil look good, giving it gold sparkles when the sun shines on it, and I am left with the impression that it helps my cacti grow a little bit faster, but I could be wrong. To be sure, we need to do a small practical study where I plant some cacti with that soil added and some others without it, and then a year later I compare how much they've grown. Maybe I will do that at some point in the future. I'm sure you'll agree it will make for an interesting video. Anyway, the point I was making there is, check your local soil. If it glitters and looks like it's full of crumbly minerals, you could add some to your soil mix. That's it. I hope that answers all the questions you might have. If not, please write your questions in the comment section below and I will try to reply to them or send me an email. Please make sure you subscribe so as not to miss my future videos. I'll see you guys next week.